The recent winter storm in Texas has a lot of people saying that the reason why there were record low temperatures or the fact that there was snow in the first place is because of global warming, or maybe climate change, or maybe because of that orange guy. I'm sure someone out there is still blaming Donald Trump for all their problems. But on a serious note, I want to chat about something that's rather serious, which is something called climate alarmism, which is annoying, it's petty, it's childish, it's all of the above. So if you've never heard of climate alarmism, I'm going to explain it to you real quick. We'll move into some articles and we'll get this thing chugging along. So climate alarmism. Basically, someone goes up on stage, on social media, on a news station, and they say, if we don't do something about climate change, the world is going to end in 10 years. They pick a random date or whatever, and they just say, we have to do something. Everybody act now. So, you get some people that react on an emotional level. Some people, like myself, just kind of go, really, we're going to go down this road again? And I'll explain it to you a little bit further. So let's go into some articles. So the first one comes from AOC. This is something that she said 2 years ago at an event. And here's the quote, front and center. The world is going to end in 12 years if we don't address climate change. And she obviously said some other things in particular. You can just look into that particular event and you can see everything that she said about it. So AOC, relatively new, right? 2019. So let's kind of move into another article. And I'll kind of further my point as we move through this video. So the next one, and these are some new articles, right? This is from John Kerry. By the way, another guy who's been in politics for like 7,000 years. But anyway, this was written February 19th of 2021. So pretty brand spanking new. So he says that Earth has 9 years to avert the worst consequences of climate crisis. There's no faking it on this one. And that's the reason why I chose this one, was because he even had to say there's no faking it on this one. And the reason for that is because if you actually take the time to look up people predicting the end of the world based on climate change, or saying, someone might say the world is going to be uninhabitable, the oceans are going to rise to a certain level, certain areas you're not going to be able to live in 10 years, 20 years, whatever. Well, you can actually find articles dating back to the 1970s of people predicting this. So this is why I'm very skeptical of climate alarmists, because I really have to question there and say, well, do you actually know what you're talking about, or are you just trying to get people to do something based on, their emotions? So I'll stop here before I move on to the next picture that I have, because it's a little bit funny. It makes me laugh a little bit. But like I said, Al Gore is another one. He had some movie, I think it was called The Inconvenient Truth, and something, around fossil fuels, global warming. And he basically said in that particular film, I think he gave the number 10 years, and that film was released in 2006. He said something like, in 10 years, the Earth is going to be uninhabitable in certain areas, right? Something. So 2016 was the particular date. So the date just keeps moving back. At least John Kerry and AOC are now predicting 2030 seems to be the new, time, or the new date that everyone's going to perish. But we'll have to see. But anyway, all I was going to say was I was going to draw a comparison between climate alarmists, so people obviously saying that the world's going to end because of climate change, and people who try and predict the next stock market crash. Stick with me, I promise. This is going to make a lot of sense. So if you were to go back from post 2008, 2009 financial crisis, you had everyone saying the stock market is inflated, it's going to crash again. And, you can look, right, because the stock market obviously recovered. So everyone was saying, whoa, we're at all-time highs. There's no way this can happen. So literally 2011, 2012, 13, 14, just literally all the way up to the 2020 crash, people were predicting every year that the market was going to crash. So eventually, well, you could say that they were right, but then you have to say, well, what about the other 9, 10 years that you were saying the market was going to crash and never did? Seems to me like you're just constantly saying the same thing, and eventually you must be proven right. Now, here's the only issue, like where the comparison ends, if you will, right? Because there's definitely people who say the world's going to end because of climate, right? And that the stock market's going to crash. The issue is the people who say the markets are going to crash, they've eventually been right. There's really been nothing for the climate alarmists, because every single time they picked a certain date, whether it was the year 2000, the year 2012, 2020, now it's 2030, well, it's never happened, right? It's always been getting pushed back. So that's all I wanted to say right there. Let me know how you feel about that one. But now, moving on to the last picture that I have. Like I said, a little bit of humor. We have the wheel of climate change, and you can see on the wheel, hopefully you can see, well, it says heavy snow, lots of hurricanes, no snow, no hurricanes, it's wet, it's dry, cold winter, warm winter. And then, right, you have the little needle landing on warm winter in this particular case, and you have someone with the alarmist. See, told you. And that's kind of how I feel in regards to these climate alarmists. Again, I'm not talking about climate change, talking about something very, very different. Is no matter what the weather brings us, you're always going to have people say, oh, see, I told you so. It's because of climate change. It's because of global warming, this, that. We have to do something or the world's going to end. And all I'm trying to say is the boy who cried wolf. You can't constantly say it and then it doesn't happen and then you try and double down and triple down and quadruple down. You lost your credibility. So the inspiration behind this video is one, because the whole Texas situation is being exploited politically, but we already knew that was going to happen. But it kind of derails the whole climate change argument or the whole global warming. Like I was saying, for my own personal take, is when somebody kind of just puts it in my face and says, well, in 9 years the world's going to end. I've already laid out my case that I sit there and I'm like, all right, somebody's got a few screws loose, right? So it actually undermines the argument that people try to make, saying that, hey, we have to try and do something about climate change, or the earth is warming or it's cooling, right? Whatever it is it's doing. So if you're someone that's in favor of trying to do something against climate change, all I'm trying to say is don't go down this rabbit hole of trying to say, oh, the world's going to end in 9 years, we have to do something. You're going to turn a lot of people off. So I'm not even arguing against climate change, because I think it's naive to say that, well, the earth isn't warming, it's not cooling. Like I said, whatever it's doing, the climate changes on a daily basis, on an annual basis, right? And we're going to constantly learn more and more. So all I'm trying to say is, if you're someone trying to argue saying that, climate change is real and humans are responsible for it, just don't fall into that alarmist category, right? Really try and walk things out as best you can. Don't appeal to people's emotions. Stick to the facts. When you stick to the facts, you're going to pull more people over to your side. But kind of the last thing that I'll, I guess, leave this video with is, in the whole Texas situation, you have everyone saying, well, it's, the wind turbines and the solar energy failed. And then you have the other people who are saying, no, it's the natural gas, the oil, that failed. So in regards to the whole climate change situation, you obviously have people saying we have to get off of fossil fuels and stuff like that. But I don't think the wind and the solar technology is just there yet to carry the load of the gas and the oil industry. And you can kind of look at, in terms of electric cars in this particular case, they're just starting to turn the corner that the batteries can actually have, enough power stored, or they can generate enough power that the cars can actually go, a further distance without having to recharge, whatever the mileage is. All I'm trying to say is, 10 years ago when I'm trying to think when the first Tesla came out, but even then you had the Priuses and stuff like that. You didn't have the best technology, but as time moves on, it's going to get better and better. So all I'm trying to say is, maybe one day we do move away from fossil fuels and, natural gases and stuff like that. I'm just not in favor of the government mandating it. I think that we're going to have a natural kind of life cycle using these particular resources, because I think the technology is one day going to pick up that maybe the wind and the solar energy is going to be able to carry the load of the oils and the gas industry, right? I'm just saying it's not there right now. So I think that both of them, or all of them, right, because there's a couple different ones, I think they can all kind of coexist and help one another. Because, for example, say we're not using the natural gases, well, okay, then maybe we're, not using the fossil fuels, so that way we're not polluting the air. But then there's going to be situations where there's going to be a heavy load or a heavy demand, and like I said, the technology isn't there yet for the wind turbines and the solar energy, and that's where, the gases and stuff like that can pick up the slack. So I think there can kind of be a good balance for now, and who knows, in the future, like I said, maybe technology will become so great, wind and solar become so much better, or who knows, maybe we'll still be using, gases, oils, fossil fuels, but they'll be burning even cleaner, like I said, due to technology and innovation. So that's all I had for you today. Let me know what your thoughts are in regards to climate alarmism. Let me know what your thoughts are in regards to climate change. Who knows? Maybe I'll do an actual climate change video. Like I said, just wanted to kind of get the ball rolling. So I appreciate you checking out the video, and I hope to see you again sometime soon.